Greetings my fancy friends, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be talking about Project Hail Mary, directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, stars Ryan Gosling, and is based off the book by Andy Weir. Now this film was easily in my top 5 most anticipated films of 2026. The book Project Hail Mary is one of my favorite books of all time. Sure, you can say that's recency bias, but honestly, no book has gripped me as hard as Project Hail Mary in years. And when I heard that this was going to be adapted into a movie directed by the guys that made the Lego movie and is starring Ryan Gosling, one of my favorite actors of all time, I'm pretty sure I levitated. But did this film meet my expectations? Well, I'm happy to say that Project Hail Mary is not only one of the best book-to-screen adaptations I have ever seen, it is one of the best space films I've ever seen, and it's easily the best film of 2026. The film is about Ryland Grace, played by Ryan Gosling, and he's a scientist that wakes up from a coma in deep space. And not only that, he has no memory of why he's here on this mission. Well, it turns out that Ryland is on this dangerous mission to figure out why the sun is losing heat from this alien life form. But not only that, Ryland is not alone on this mission because it turns out another alien is trying to figure out the exact same thing. An alien named Rocky, played by James Ortiz. So Ryland and Rocky have to work together to figure out why the sun is losing heat to save the world. So as you can tell from that brief synopsis, there is a lot going on in this film, and it makes sense because the book is very heavy, filled with a lot of science jargon about why the sun is losing heat. There's a lot going on in the book to the point where I was thinking there's no way you can make a perfect adaptation of this novel. But my God, somehow Phil Lord and Chris Miller did it because this film rocks. No pun intended. There are so many great things to talk about with this film, so let me go ahead and get the obvious one out of the way. This film looks astounding. This is the best looking film of 2026 by far. The cinematographer Greg Fraser, who has done work for the past 2 Dune movies, who is a legend when it comes to making films look beautiful, did a phenomenal job here. Apparently not one piece of green screen was used in this film, and my God, this film looks absolutely stunning with some brilliant colors, amazing cinematography, great camera angles, stellar visual effects. I mean, these effects look incredible. Look at this stuff. This film is just visual eye candy. Space films are like one of my favorite genres because I just love adoring visual effects. And this film has the perfect combination of practical and CGI. There's not one moment in this film where I was like, oh, that doesn't look real, or oh, that looks too CG. Everything here just looks perfect. There are so many jaw-dropping moments in this film, with one in particular that I kid you not had me crying a single tear down my cheek. I was just in awe by the visuals. It's just an absolute stunning looking movie. And the music is just mwah. The composer here, Daniel Pemberton, who you might know as the guy who did the music for the Into the Spider-Verse films, did a phenomenal job here. The music here is just gorgeous with some orchestral pieces and some parts with some opera singers. It's just a beautiful score. This is easily one of my favorite soundtracks for a film this decade. It is that good. The music here makes this whole journey of Ryland going on this grand expedition feel otherworldly. It makes this whole journey feel like this grand epic adventure, and it's just beautiful to listen to. The best way how I can describe the soundtrack here, and this might be weird to say, but it makes this film feel like it's a ballet, because it feels like the music is in tune with the scenes that are going on. Like you'll watch Ryland's ship move from one area to the other, and the music is moving alongside and changing tones and rhythms as Ryland's ship is moving. It feels like the music is timed perfectly with the scene that is happening, and it feels like it's just tied in together perfectly. As for the story, it's great. I mean, it's based off one of my favorite books of all time, so I went into this film hoping that they would do the story justice, and they really did. One of the issues that I had with the book is some of the pacing was a little off. You would have some scenes with some flashbacks where you would have Ryland trying to figure out something about either this alien life form is eating up the sun, but in the film here, the flashbacks are done great. They never halt the story to a crawl. They're all perfectly timed into this film, making the film fly by. This is a 2-hour and 30-minute movie, and it feels like it's only an hour and 30. The pacing here is just perfect. And the story is great because of these characters of Rocky and Ryland. With Ryland's character, you really do feel for him how he wants to save the Earth because he is a middle school teacher. He wants to be the one that can give his students a fighting chance in this world. But at the same time, he's only a scientist. He's not an astronaut. He's not built to go out on this grand journey. But you see the excitement in him whenever he does discover things about this alien life form, but at the same time he's wondering, am I the right person for this job? Am I the one that can actually be the one to save the Earth? And as he goes through all of these different emotions, you're just rooting for him because you do see his potential. You do see how he can be the one to save the Earth, even though he is kind of a bumbling doofus. And you also love him because of Ryan Gosling. He is one of my favorite actors, and this is one of my favorite performances by him. He did a stellar job playing this bumbling scientist with a heart of gold that just wants to save the Earth. And he's just a phenomenal character, and the performance here is just great. But the true heart of this film is Rocky. Oh, I would die for this little dude. I loved Rocky in the book, and when I saw him in this film, I had the biggest smile on my face. I was like, that is my boy, that's Rocky. One of the best characters in any book this decade, and as for this film, one of the best characters in any film I've seen this decade. I loved Rocky. And that's also elevated because he is an actual practical puppet. He's not CG. You really do feel for this character that has no face whatsoever, and yet you can feel all the emotions he's going through thanks to the brilliant puppeteering, which is also done by James Ortiz, who is the voice of Rocky. James Ortiz did a phenomenal job with this character, and the chemistry between Ryland and Rocky is just beautiful. Watching these two different species work together to save their planets, it's just heartwarming to watch these two. And the chemistry between Ryland and Rocky is really why I love this film so much and the book so much. This story really does mean a lot to me. And the reason why that is because our world right now is pretty much fully divided. Everybody is against each other, at each other's throats. And this film just shows about unity, love, and peace, and about how even with people that are completely different on the other sides of the galaxy, they can still come together and work together. This film is about love, friendship, unity, and it's just beautiful. It's a story that we really need right now, and I feel like it's a story that a lot of people can learn from. It's just a beautiful story. And the tone for this film is great. Even though Ryland is going on this dangerous expedition, the film is actually lighthearted, with a lot of funny moments between Rocky and Ryland. But in the book, there are a few grim moments, but this film kind of pivots from that and makes this whole film a bit more lighthearted, which I personally didn't mind. The movie is really a feel-good movie. Now, there were some changes in this film from the book that I wasn't a huge fan of. For example, the first third of the book is pretty much Ryland trying to figure out what this astrophage alien is, what his name is because he has amnesia on this ship, and also learning more about what he can do to save the world. And all that stuff is so engaging and so gripping, but in this film, they really just zoom by all of that. The first third of this book is pretty much done in the first, maybe 20 minutes of the movie. They really fly by a lot of things in this film, which I personally wanted to see. I can understand why they did that because it is a pretty heavy book and they wanted to pivot and get through this film as quick as possible in a good runtime. But there are a few things in the book that I just really wanted to see. Like, for example, in the book, Ryland says he wants to go and help out and figure out what this astrophage thing is because of his kids. And you really don't feel that motivation in this movie. I just knew about that motivation because I read the book. And while it is there in this film, it's not as prominent as it is in the book, which was kind of a down point. I wanted to see that thing for Ryland to give him that motivation, but I mean, I guess him having the motivation to save the world is good enough, but you know. Though I do think the biggest down point of the film, and the thing that I can say that I was actually really disappointed in, is the character of Strat. Now, Strat is the one that hires Ryland to figure out what this astrophage is, and she is a huge character in the book, a really important character trying to convince Ryland that he can be the one to help save the world. But in this film, she doesn't really have much of a character. Like, all of her great character moments that are in the book aren't really in this film. Like how Ryland and Strat bond with each other and how they have their banter about Ryland not thinking that he's destined to save the world, but Strat thinks he is. There's never really a moment like that in the movie, which that is a huge part of the book that I wanted to see. And also, they do a few new scenes with Strat that I think are great, especially this one karaoke scene, but I don't know, like, seeing how I'm such a huge fan of the book, I was hoping it would be pretty close to a one-to-one adaptation, but it's a movie. You can't hope for everything in a book to be in a film. They have to cut it down somewhere. So I understand why they cut down the parts that they did, but I just wanted a little bit more with Strat's character. Because at the end of the book, there's a thing that Strat does where you're like, oh shit, it's a huge character moment for her. And in this film, they have that same character moment, but I didn't feel that weight like I did in the book watching this film. I just wanted a little bit more with Strat's character, but again, I can understand why they had to cut some things out. But I can't really be mad at this film for taking things out of the book because it is an adaptation. It's not going to be one-to-one. So if I acted like the book never existed and I just went into this film completely blind, I would have thought this film was an absolute masterpiece, because as a film, it is. It's got amazing visual effects, amazing music, great characters, great story, a heart of gold with Rocky. Oh, love that dude. It's just a great feel-good movie, which I feel like it's something that we all really need right now. Which is why I'm gonna give Project Hail Mary the Holy Top Hat. Finally, after all these months, we finally have another Holy Top Hat. It's been so long. To all my fancy friends out there, thank you so much for watching, but it's your first time here and you like what you've seen, be sure to subscribe for more content. Now, have you seen Project Hail Mary? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you have a fantastic night, and as always, stay fancy.